Let me ask you a serious question. Are you being drained by people who don't even value your presence? You see, the reason so many feel empty and unnoticed is because they're too available. And in a world where everyone is screaming for your time, only the wise learn to protect their worth. So, stay with me to the end of this message, because I'm about to show you why becoming valuable will change your life and why being available to everyone might be the reason you're stuck. Your presence is a privilege, not something to be casually handed out like loose change. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that their constant availability makes them more loved, more respected, or more valuable. But the truth is just the opposite. When you're always there, always reachable, always saying yes, you start to become invisible. You become part of the background noise, not the music that moves people. You must understand this deeply. Not everyone deserves access to you. Your time, your attention, your energy, they are limited resources. They are precious. And when you give them away without discernment, you don't just lose time, you lose value in the eyes of others. Because value is always tied to scarcity. Think about the rarest jewels, the most exclusive art, the most exclusive experiences. What makes them so valuable isn't just their beauty, it's their limited access. Now ask yourself, how easy is it to access you? Are you responding to every call, every message, every request, even when it costs you your peace? Are you showing up for people who wouldn't cross the street for you? Are you making sacrifices for those who only remember you when they need something? If so, then you're training the world to treat you like you're always available, always replaceable, always convenient. And let's be honest, convenience never equals value. No one treasures what's always around. We don't cherish air the way we do gold, even though we need both. Why? Because air is everywhere. It's expected. It's taken for granted. The same happens to your presence when you don't manage it wisely. You become expected. You become normal. And the more normal you become to people who don't appreciate you, the more they begin to undervalue who you are. People must earn your presence. They must value your essence. Not because you're arrogant, but because you recognize your worth. When you respect yourself enough to protect your energy, you silently teach others to do the same. You stop showing up just to be liked and start showing up where your presence can make a real difference. You stop seeking to please everyone and start choosing who is worthy of your time. There is a powerful shift that happens when you stop trying to be everywhere for everyone. You begin to reclaim your focus. You begin to grow. You begin to align with people and environments that feed your purpose, not drain your spirit. You become intentional with your time and your value increases. People start noticing that you're not always around anymore, and that absence builds mystery, curiosity, and yes, respect. If your phone is always ringing and you're always answering, you are not in control, someone else is. If your calendar is always full, but your soul is always empty, you are not being productive, you are being used. Let that sink in. Because your life is too important, your mission too critical, your gifts too powerful to be wasted on every request, every drama, every distraction that knocks on your door. So remind yourself every day, your presence is a privilege. It's not a favor to be tossed around. It's a gift. A gift that should be cherished, honored, and protected. Give it to those who see it. Share it with those who grow with you. But never again hand it out to those who only take and never pour back in. You are not a public service. You are not a utility. You are a vessel of greatness. And from this day forward, your presence must reflect that. People don't chase what's always there. They chase what feels rare, what feels exclusive, what feels like a challenge to reach. It's human nature. When something is difficult to access, we naturally assign more value to it. That's why diamonds are more prized than rocks, why VIP sections exist, and why we hold onto limited opportunities more tightly than the ones that come around every day. The harder it is to get something, the more we respect it once we do. And the same applies to people. When you make yourself too available, always reachable, always responding, always saying yes, you begin to lose the very magnetism that draws people in. People stop seeing you as a valuable presence and start seeing you as a guaranteed one. You become background noise, not a powerful voice. You become an option, not a priority. Because if you're always there, what's the urgency to appreciate you? If they know they can get your time and energy whenever they want, why would they treat it with honor? But the moment you step back, the moment you become less accessible, something shifts. People start to notice your absence. They begin to realize what they took for granted. They start wondering why you're not always around, and that curiosity builds value in their eyes. They begin to recognize the weight of your presence because it's no longer on demand. And that recognition is where respect begins. This isn't about playing games or manipulating people. It's about understanding your worth. When you limit your accessibility, you create room for people to meet you at your level. You give them the space to reflect on whether they truly appreciate you or if they were just taking advantage of your constant availability. And those who genuinely value you will rise to meet the new standard you've set. The truth is, no one chases what they know they already have. They chase what they're afraid to lose. They chase what they can't control. They chase what makes them better by being around it. So if you want to be respected, admired, and truly valued, you can't be available to everyone at all times. You have to guard your presence like it's precious, because it is. Think about the most impactful people you know. They aren't accessible to everyone. They are intentional with their time. They're not rushing to please. They're focused on purpose. That's what gives them influence. That's what gives them power. And that's what you must embrace. You are not for everyone, and that's what makes you special. So instead of trying to be everywhere for everyone, choose to be deeply valuable in the right places. The world doesn't need more people trying to be liked. It needs more people who understand their worth and act like it. Because when you become less available, you become more pursued. And when you're pursued, you're respected. Your energy is one of your most valuable assets. It fuels your dreams, your creativity, your decisions, your relationships, and your purpose. But what most people don't realize is that energy is limited. You only have so much to give in a day. And if you don't set boundaries, others will take from you without limits, leaving you depleted, frustrated, and eventually disconnected from your true self. Every time you say yes to something you don't believe in, you're saying no to something that could move your life forward. Every time you make yourself available to someone who drains you, you take energy away from what could be growing you. Without boundaries, you become scattered, overextended, and emotionally exhausted. And the worst part is, you start to think that exhaustion is normal, but it's not. It's just unmanaged energy. The people who protect their energy are not selfish, they are wise. They understand that if they're not full, they have nothing real to give. They don't run from people, but they don't tolerate being used either. They know when to help and when to walk away. They know when a conversation is adding value and when it's just noise. And they've mastered the ability to say no without guilt You can't be everything to everyone and still be something to yourself. That's why boundaries matter. You have to draw lines, not to keep people out, but to keep your peace in. Your peace is sacred. Your mental clarity is sacred. Your spiritual well-being is sacred. And if you don't build a wall around those things, people will trample them with their chaos, their demands, their problems, and their expectations. It's not your job to carry the weight of everyone's issues. You can care, you can support, but you are not a dumping ground for negativity. You are not available 24/7 for drama. You are not a sponge for other people's emotional mess. You have a calling, a purpose, and a vision for your life, and you need space, stillness, and strength to pursue it. Boundaries are the gates that protect your garden. If you leave the gate open, weeds grow, animals come in, and eventually the garden dies. But when you set clear boundaries on your time, your energy, your space, your life begins to flourish. You become more focused. You become more powerful. You attract people who respect your limits because they can see that you respect yourself. So take a moment to ask yourself, where am I leaking energy? Who or what am I allowing into my space that doesn't belong? And most importantly, what will I do about it? Because the moment you take control of your energy is the moment your life starts moving in the direction of growth, clarity, and purpose. Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. One of the most freeing truths you'll ever learn in life is this: not everyone deserves access to you. Just because someone wants your time doesn't mean they're entitled to it. Just because someone reaches out doesn't mean you're obligated to respond. Your presence is not a public service. It's a privilege. And you must stop giving it to people who haven't earned the right to be in your space. Too many people drain their lives trying to keep doors open that should have been closed long ago. They hold on to friendships that have turned toxic, entertain conversations that lead nowhere, and make room for people who bring nothing but confusion, competition, or chaos. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, overwhelmed, or off balance. The truth is, your environment shapes your energy. Who you allow in your life will either build you or break you. And sometimes the greatest act of self-respect is choosing who not to allow in. It's not about being cold or arrogant, it's about being wise. You cannot elevate your life while remaining connected to people who are comfortable living beneath the level you're aiming for. Some people are distractions dressed as friends. Some are lessons, not lifelong companions. And if you're always accessible to everyone, especially those who don't honor your value, you're quietly telling yourself that you don't believe you're worth more. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. If you keep showing up for people who constantly let you down, they will assume you'll never leave. If you keep answering calls from people who only call when they need something, they will never see a reason to respect your time. If you keep giving energy to those who never refill you, you will eventually run on empty, and they won't even notice you're running dry. You are not here to be everything for everyone. You are here to become everything you were created to be. That requires focus, that requires peace, that requires surrounding yourself with people who nourish your soul, not drain it. People who challenge you to grow, not pressure you to shrink. People who clap for you in public and correct you in private. That's real access. That's real alignment. And those people are rare. So be selective, be intentional. Pay attention to how you feel around certain individuals. Your energy doesn't lie. If someone's presence brings tension instead of peace, confusion instead of clarity, heaviness instead of joy, that's your sign. It's okay to outgrow connections. It's okay to love people from a distance. You don't owe anyone a permanent place in your life simply because they had access to you in the past. The people who truly value you will never question your boundaries. They will respect them. And the ones who don't, they were never for you to begin with. When you're constantly available without direction, without purpose, without clear intention, people will begin to see you not as someone valuable, but as someone useful. And the difference between being valued and being used is massive. Being valued means your presence matters, your time is appreciated, and your input is respected. Being used means your availability is convenient, your silence is expected, and your energy is consumed without care for your well-being. The sad reality is that the more you allow yourself to be available to everyone all the time, the less people take the time to understand who you really are or what you truly need. You weren't designed to be on call for everyone's crisis. You weren't built to be the emotional, mental, or physical dumping ground for people who only think of you when they need something. Yet without purpose, you become a magnet for these kinds of relationships. Because you haven't defined your limits, others assume you don't have any. Because you haven't stated your priorities, others make you theirs. And slowly you lose sight of your own goals, your own peace, and your own path, all in the name of being available. Purpose gives your presence meaning. It shapes how you spend your time, who you connect with, and what you say yes or no to. When you live with purpose, you filter requests through vision, not guilt. You choose your engagements based on alignment, not obligation, and because of that, your time begins to carry weight. You stop being seen as someone who can be pulled in every direction, and instead, you are seen as someone moving in a very specific one. And that shift demands respect. People can feel the difference when you show up with purpose. Your energy changes. Your posture changes, your standards change. You begin to attract those who are walking in purpose too, not those who are wandering and hoping to borrow your energy to survive. You no longer need to prove your worth by always being present. Instead, your absence becomes just as powerful as your presence, because people recognize that when you do show up, it means something.
Availability without boundaries leads to burnout. Availability without intention leads to disappointment, and availability without purpose leads to being used, not valued. If you want to live a life that matters, you must learn to say no without explaining yourself, to step away without guilt, and to choose rest over performance. The people who truly see your worth won't be offended by your boundaries. They'll honor them. They'll meet you where you are, not drain you, trying to get you where they want. You don't need to prove you're valuable by being everywhere. You prove it by being where you're meant to be, doing what you're called to do, with purpose in your heart and peace in your mind. Your time is not just ticking seconds on a clock, it's your life in motion. Your presence is not just physical, it's your energy, your wisdom, your spirit, your essence showing up in a moment. And together, your time and presence are not casual offerings, they are investments. Every minute you give to someone, every conversation you engage in, every space you enter, you are making a deposit. The question is, are you depositing into a place that brings return, or are you constantly giving to things and people that only withdraw from you? You weren't created to give yourself away to anyone who simply demands your attention. There's a difference between generosity and self-neglect. It's good to give, but it's destructive to give without wisdom. Because when you treat your time like a donation, something you just give freely without thought, you'll find yourself running on empty, resentful, and often overlooked. But when you treat your time and presence as an investment, you move with intention. You become selective, strategic, and powerful in where and how you show up. Think about it. You don't walk into a bank and drop your money into an account that's known for losing everything. You don't invest in something that has no growth, no promise, no value. So why do we do that with our time? Why do we keep giving hours to people who don't grow with us, conversations that go nowhere, or environments that drain our light? Because deep down, we confuse being kind with being available. But kindness does not mean surrendering your energy to everyone. Kindness begins with honoring yourself first. When you start seeing yourself as an investment, when you realize that every part of you has value, you start moving differently. You stop entertaining the unnecessary. You stop apologizing for guarding your peace. You stop stretching yourself thin just to keep others comfortable. And instead, you start giving where it makes sense. You show up where your presence is respected. You speak where your voice is heard. You spend time where your soul is fed. An investor doesn't just throw money blindly. They study, they evaluate, they decide. And you must do the same with your life. Your presence in a room can shift the atmosphere. Your insight can change someone's direction. Your energy can uplift or restore. But only if you're giving it from a place of strength, not survival. So don't let anyone guilt you into being endlessly accessible. You're not a donation center. You're not meant to be drained just so others can feel filled. You are meant to thrive, to grow, and to shine. And the people who truly value you will treat your time and presence like the treasures they are, not with entitlement, but with gratitude. Remember, the way you treat your time teaches others how to treat it too. Make sure every moment you give away is going somewhere meaningful. Because you are not just passing time, you are planting purpose. If you want to live a life of impact, stop giving away your power for free. Your future depends on who gets your time. So guard it, grow it, and give it only where it matters. Be valuable, not available.